Good afternoon, Neena and my researcher Soumya. And it's so good to have you
Afternoon.
here today. And we are going to talk about women in architecture as one of my research, which I'm trying to figure out what my fellow ladies across the country are doing in this field. But more importantly, on how their life has been as a woman architect. Okay. So I hope you are fine with the recording of this session.
Thank you so much, Mansee, for inviting me and for considering me for this interview. And I'll try my best to share my life and my opinions on what it is to be a woman in profession.
Yeah. So I'm considering that you have a consent for the recording, and at the same time, you are aware that the questions will be more biographical, and we shall do kind of a candid interview. And this in this digital mode, it's not going to be easy because we are the only two people around for this conversation. But nevertheless, because we know each other, it should be much easy and flowing. So let us start with this conversation here. And I would like to know your childhood upbringing, which led you to decide or choose architecture as a field to study in bachelor's. What was it going on?
Okay. I was the third child of my parents, two elder sisters and a younger brother. And my father was very keen that, we should take good education because probably he missed on his education. And he wanted us to, take education in a convent school and be very successful. But as usual, like any other parent of those times, he wanted us to be doctors, which unfortunately I did not choose to be. My two elder sisters tried, but yes, I did not. I wanted to be an engineer. That I should say because I was very creative right from the very childhood, and I wanted to explore with materials. I always loved to play with clay. I love to draw and paint, and I love to decorate my house. So that was my
Probably that
passion.
was the
And
click, were not
yes,
knowing.
yes,
Yeah, probably
yes.
that
I
was
did
the
not
click.
know then that this is the profession I would be choosing. Later in life, there was a family friend who designed a hotel for my father when he switched on his business. So he started with this small project of a hotel, and there was this architect who was also a family friend who would come to the site and would bring the drawings and all. And I was always keen to see. And fortunately, that his daughters, we used to go for tuitions to his house, and his daughters were teaching us. So I used to see this big Xerox machine in their house, the old one. And I used to see his table where he would sit and draft, and that somehow always yes, attracted me. And he had a big jar of pencils with on his table always, which used to attract me, and I would love to see scale and fiddle with them.
Yeah.
So probably that was there in my mind that I would want to do something like this.
Fancy,
If
that,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, that was
But
the fantasy.
I assume being siblings of brother and sisters, because in my case we were all sisters. Yeah, you may or may not have had this distinction in your childhood that this is a girl or this is a boy. Especially with parents, they don't make this distinction many of the times, but sometimes they do. But when you were joining architecture and when you were into the course, in education life, tell us something about, did you already started feeling the difference being a woman in the course, or was it something you really didn't really had any encounter that as a woman I'm doing architecture
No, I did not feel so. In
while
fact,
studying?
yeah, while studying, I never felt so.
So
But
yeah,
yes,
that's
after
true.
after coming into profession, I realized that there is a
There
difference.
is a difference. But in education time, because we also studied together for half of the course, Did you ever felt that there was a difference, or it was never like this? Because we also had a good number of girls in the class, if I remember,
Yes, yes.
and we were all
Yes, I
toppers,
never realized.
and all of
Yes.
us were toppers in the class. So
Yeah.
probably we had a completely different imagination of women in the field.
Yes.
But
I
did you
never realized that or never noticed that, this,
the
there's a difference
distinction?
or a gender bias or something like that. Never. Our teachers never,
Yes,
made us feel like that. Or
absolutely.
either our male counterparts, our friends in the classmates, they also never treated us as any
Yeah,
different.
absolutely. Yes,
So
absolutely. So it is very interesting, but because in architecture fraternity still day, we see that actually more number of girls are doing better in the school
yes,
and than the boys. Not to demean the boys' qualification in the school, but somehow, even in count, we are more girls often in many classes than boys in this discipline. So in college, you are right that we did not feel. But then when you started, I recall that you stayed back in Ahmedabad for some years in your early career and also pursued your masters. How was it?
yes. That was also it was also a very good learning experience, I should say. Sept was very different, the environment was different. Even there I did not feel any bias or a difference between a man and a woman. We used to work late in the nights in our studios. We used to walk down in our hostel alone, to our hostel alone.
Not married that
And
time, huh? Single
yes, that
person.
was,
It was
yes,
not man
yes.
and
I know
woman. It
that.
was a
I was,
single human
yeah,
being.
that's, yeah. Okay, a girl and a boy or whatever. Yes. So
Yeah.
at that time also, yes, we were like free birds.
Yes, absolutely. But that was already an early career, I mean, because you have worked before. You went for
Yes.
your masters, right? Or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
went
Before.
straight. You did work before, or
No,
you worked after the masters.
I worked after the
You
masters.
worked
I
after the masters.
immediately joined post graduation after my graduate course.
So you did urban design for 2 years. Was there any incidents where you were made to feel that, that you are not really doing up to the mark, or as being a girl, you can't do field work? It was not like this till until the master's course, if I remember, even from because
Yeah,
I did 2 years
no, but
after you.
the difference I felt was that I was a small town girl. I was
Okay,
less
so there was
exposed.
this,
Yes, there was a
that was the
difference
difference.
in my understanding and in the understanding of the students who came from, big cities, the
Yeah.
metros. They were quite, I mean, they were exposed, well exposed, and they were outspoken. They were well read. Whereas in my BF course, in our BF course, I realized I mean, we did not have an access to our library, and
Yeah,
that
that's
was the
true.
shortcoming we had.
Yes.
And though we made attempts to go to the British library, and we explored that library, but then the college library was not accessible, and this
Yes.
was the shortcoming I felt, and this made a big difference in my understanding of the course as initially
Absolutely.
when I joined. Later on, I made up. I did work very hard, and I,
Yeah, I
tried to
remember.
read each and every book that came to my this came to hand, and or what I was, prescribed. I mean, every day I would be getting a list of, more than like 200 pages to read.
Yes.
So
Thanks to our teachers
I
that
did.
time.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
yes, but when I at the end of the course, I realized that yes, I did. It paid. The hard work paid.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. You also stayed back and worked for some time in Ahmedabad before you
yes,
left to your hometown. And I guess you immediately started your family life, getting married to your old time, now spouse, old time boyfriend then.
yeah,
I'm sure until then, when even when you were working here, and especially you, because you worked with Professor P.V. Rameshwar, who was so much part of our life that time, being urban design student. I joined 2 years after you, by the way. So I was working before and then joined. Even I think when you worked here in Ahmedabad, being a free bird, probably you were not in that zone, or you were already realizing the difference of a man having an office or a woman having an office, or what are you, were you already thinking, what am I going to do next, or what was going on when you were working here? Already planning?
See, before I joined SEPT, I always had in mind that I will be going to US and doing my master's. And for that, I, appeared for GRE, cleared that. But unfortunately, I lost my father in the final year,
Yeah.
and that is how I had to drop my plans. So even when I was in SEPT, this was there in my mind that sooner or later, there I will be going to US, and I'll be studying further. I'd never uh, uh, thought of immediately starting a practice or something like that.
Yeah.
But then I had this in mind that I have to study a lot. So this
Yeah.
was the craving I always had. But then after I got married, and I got married in a small town, um, so I had to, I had no choice but to start my practice.
Yeah. So you left Ahmedabad and the entire SEPT, learning. You not left, but in fact you carried it, and you went with your marriage, with your friend, and you started a life there. How was it
Yes.
to think about having a family life, and then this entire uncertainty of starting a new career?
Yes, I should say, too naive at that time before marriage, of realizing, we are always on the ninth cloud 69 before marriage. So after I got married, I realized that, I had an environment which was slightly conservative. So my elders would not understand uh, the value of my education. That I shouldn't say that they were wrong, but I should say they were less exposed. They did not know what education I have completed, and where it can take me in career.
Yeah, I think especially
So
with architecture, it becomes more difficult, because if you are a doctor
yes,
engineer, there will
yeah,
be a clearer perception about them.
yes,
It's the
yeah.
profession
So
also.
yes. So initially they thought, I would be like one of those daughter-in-laws who would be like wearing a sari, working in the house, and, listening to all that they had to. I mean, it was like I would adapt to their lifestyle very easily, which was slightly difficult for me. And we don't perceive that, the change can come, but the change, we all think that, everybody will change according to us. Uh,
Yes, that was then. That
that
was then.
yes, that was then, yes, before marriage. But then change is always a slow process, and it comes with it comes with a lot of resistance. And
Yeah.
I had to bring that change somehow for myself. If I thought, if I have to survive here, I have to bring things to a balance, where I can also do good, and my family also can be at a level with my thought process. So I had to come out of that sari thing, that I will not be wearing a sari if I have to work,
I
because
had
if I have to
ghungat
go
in
to
my
the
marriage,
site,
huh?
no,
I
not
had
not a
ghungat in my
gungat.
marriage.
Okay,
So I'm just
okay,
sharing
okay.
with you.
Yeah, all right, okay. So I had to make them, say yes to that initially, which came with a little resistance. But then, yes, they changed. They changed for good, and they changed for me. They were already, and especially Girish, my husband, he was quite cooperative, quite understanding. And they agreed to the thing that, the fact that I will be working. I will not be,
So you will not be
be staying
homebound.
at home. Yes,
Hmm.
yeah, I'll not be staying
I
at
think
home.
Yeah, I think it's the staying at home vis-a-vis working, because now in pandemic time we are seeing that we are staying at home and we are still working. Huh? So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
was a different time zone then also. Another part of the work which I'm trying to figure out from women architects is many couples chose to be of the same profession. In your case, your spouse is not from the same profession, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
initially, when you went there to, after getting married, when you were really trying to find out a balance between work and also life, because you had just started your family life, and then you had lovely two early siblings, two boys there.
Yes.
Were you already looking for a kind of work which can offer you a financial security, and just to break that glass to really find that I am working outside the house? Or were you already thinking that if I stay in the house and with the kids and with the family, and if I can find some work, I can practice? Because that's also something in architecture we have to take a call in the beginning, whether to go the job route or whether to go the practice route. And since you had already done job here, how were you really trying to find what will suit you in Rajnandgaon? Because that's also, as you
See, I
said,
had no choice. Mansi, I had no
often
choice.
we have no choice.
Yes, because job was out of question. There were no architects in Rajnandgaon. I was the first one.
Uh,
There were civil engineers practicing here as architects, and I was the first one. So I never thought that I'll be working under an engineer. So, and with my kind of experience, I would not have chosen to do so. So practice was the only choice.
no, but how did
That
you go to people to ask for work, or people come to? How
Okay,
you
okay,
really
okay.
announce that I am breaking the glass ceiling, not only of the house, of the profession, but also of the city, that here there is an architect. It's not about male or
Okay,
female. Here there is
yeah,
an architect in your city who is going to work,
that is
or who
where
is.
my family supported me,
Yeah.
and Girish was very well connected. They are a very well-known family in the city, and that is how people get to know that they have a daughter-in-law who's an architect. And that was the time when they would not want to give me some projects on hand as such, but they always wanted me to come and visit their site. आके देख लो, हमारा घर बन रहा है तो आके देख लो, कुछ सलाह दे दो. So that is how I
That's
started
good.
visiting them and
Yeah.
making connections and making them feel that I know I can practice architecture, and I know what
Some
this field
things.
requires. Yes.
Some things, give me some
Yes, some
space, I
things.
know some
Yes.
things
Yeah, yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Probably I can, because in this kind of conversations I try to make it candid, and especially being a researcher, I'm trying to reflect upon how it has been with me. Probably you had a privilege over in those situations where you were not the backbencher in the meetings. So I can share that, because in most of the meetings where I went with a spouse who is a very a dominant architect in between us, I was always standing at the back, and all the men were on the drawings and on the project and on the work, where I couldn't even see what they were talking. Whereas back in
Yeah.
the house, in the
Okay.
office, I was
Yeah.
the one who was designing and drawing. So see,
Yes.
what I'm trying to learn is that there are some trade-offs, so when you went in these kind of situations, you were probably already in the front, up front,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there was no wall in front of you, or nothing, as in you
But there
are
were
the
very few projects.
you were the
The thing
architect.
is,
Huh.
yes, I was the architect, but there were very few projects.
Yeah. So that the trade-offs. These are the trade-offs.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Not only few projects, but there were hardly any projects,
yes, the
because
rule.
here in this small town, nobody realized, nobody had that awareness of hiring an architect as a
Yes.
professional. Their work was easily getting done by the contractor and the civil engineers, making that one single page plan. Based on that, the whole building was constructed.
On the
So
spot.
yes, on the spot. So they only wanted me as a as a doctor who would just walk in, give some
Advise.
pills, and
OPD doctor.
advice. And
OPD
yes,
doctor.
OPD, yes, yes, yes. So I was a general practitioner, giving them certain pills for
Yeah, I
small
guess,
ailments.
yeah. I guess the society was in that time, because now the architecture is a very well-known profession in Chhattisgarh. Also, we also try to
Yes,
work together now, so we know that it has evolved. I guess in those time, we are talking about 20 years behind.
yes,
Probably there was not much distinction made by the society between what civil engineer does and what extra an architect can do. What
yes.
can they
Not
bring
only
on
civil
top?
engineer, they compared us to a general contractor. So the
Okay.
contractor was the decision maker.
Okay. So you had one
It
stage
was,
ahead.
yes. So he
More
would influence,
challenging.
अरे ये मैडम को क्या आता होगा, हम तो इतने साल से काम कर रहे हैं. I would, that he would tell them the right thing. That was the kind of situation
So on
wherein,
field.
yes,
So
on field it was that.
yeah, on field probably it was like especially because making hands dirty. Of course, it's more of a masculine task. Still, date in India. Although I was looking at the labor population, where 50% comprises of women labor, by the way, and we still
Yes,
talk about labor and contractor as a male. We don't have much women contractors who can understand. But again, the trade-off probably I can reflect upon when you eventually started working on the projects and you are going on the site, you were the architect, right?
yes.
That's a difference. So what was the life-changing project for you to announce in the even district and also the state, because you now work pan state, that you are the
Okay.
architect?
Okay, I was fortunate that, you know, as soon as I came here, within 3 months, there was a renovation project of our cultural, this building of our Lohana Samaj, okay, which was under renovation. And my uncle, he was a trustee there. And he said that, you know, he wants to take up this renovation, and because you are a professional, you can, you know, help me out with that. So I worked on that project, and it was a big project. It was not a small renovation. It was a big Samaj building, so almost like 15,000 square feet of construction was there to be added. So I did that building, and I did that elevation with a model and everything. And because I did the model, they could understand the project very well. They were not capable of reading the drawings. So the contractor could make an exact replica of the model, rather than, you know, paying much
Yeah.
attention to the drawings. So that was one project. And immediately after that, I got this there was this Durg Rajnandgaon Gramin Bank buildings regional office was coming, and they saw this project renovation, and they came to me saying that, you know, you fill this tender, and you know, we would want you to work on this project. So that is how it was, a semi government bank building, and that was my first project in the town.
Very good. So now you already broke the glass ceiling by then. What do you find as a difference between now you have so many architects there, a difference between a woman architect practicing and a male architect practicing after you have worked for 20 years in the design and business approach in doing projects? So we are jumping actually in your those 20 years of work. What is the design approach or
I
business
would
approach?
not point out that difference, because here in the town still there are hardly any architects, like maximum
Okay, so
4 or 5,
still
and
don't
most of
see
them
that
who worked
difference.
under, yes, most of
In
them who worked under me, yes. So I would not be you know, comparing as such, but yes, still you know, a value of detailed designs, and you know, in overall architecture, what exactly, how a building project comes up, that awareness is still you know, still at the very basic stage, I should say. Though, you know, now what happens is, now the big difference is that people who have good money, they have a good project, they would want to hire architects from outside. Now they do not value the architect who is within the city. Now they feel, it's a
Yes,
prestige
to get
here.
from
A
Mumbai
prestige
and
is, yes, yeah,
Mumbai it's
from to
Lana.
have an architect from Mumbai and, get the building done, rather than, depending on the local architects. So
So,
that is very obvious. In
so
fact, I should
from the
say I
client
did
side.
not do big projects here in this city. I did
Mm.
big projects elsewhere, but I did not do. And there is what I said. The difference was that the clients who had good money to pay, they or to bring up good projects, they did not trust a woman architect, or probably the society is so conservative that they did not want to have a female on their working panel or the design panel who would be leading the whole project.
So it's,
So
I think, also social cultural taboo, especially
yes,
because.
cultural taboo is there. Yes.
But when you say that there are not many architects in the city, probably this is also one of the reason why I'm saying this in your case particularly, and this is a unique case for me so far, because actually in your case it is still not about being woman or man. It's about being in a town where there are not architects. So it's just
Yes.
first thing is that establishing the datum of being an architect in a city.
Yes. Yes.
Then there will be
That
a
is,
question of
yes.
woman or man.
Man. Yes.
So when you say that the big house business houses are preferring to offer for opt for architects outside, probably it is more because of the scale of the project, prestige of the project, and
Yes.
it's just like to
The trust that they cannot put on a female architect, I should say that
yeah.
they still consider a woman as, lesser as compared to a male architect.
So that's definitely social cultural background which
Yes. Yeah.
we are looking at and trying to tap. Actually, when we talk about this design approach and business approach between men and women, you are the first one telling me that first we have to have the approach of being architect and being a contractor or being a civil engineer, and from there that journey of 20 years now nearly, right? um,
Yes.
I also know that you have done a lot of teaching around. How was that feeling from, shifting between practice and teaching, and how was it going? And when did you
That
start
was a
doing
great
that?
experience because I always had a passion for learning, and you as you know that I wanted to study, so that gave me an opportunity to take time out for my studies as well. So that was really really great, and much more than that is what I could offer my learnings to the generation ahead. That was a great feeling, and there was a lot of inspiration that I could give to the students, especially the girl students in this small town. Actually, when I was working, I joined Dignity College of Architecture, which is in Durg district, very half an hour run from my place. And uh, because the mentality of the people around is the same. Girls, unfortunately, education for girls, professional education for girls is still not looked upon as something uh, way back in 2006 when I joined.
Mm-hmm.
That was the time
As an
when
option.
yes, it was an optional subject, and especially architecture, the understanding of architecture was still not there. People used to think that this is something like interior designing.
Yes,
And
that's also taboo,
yes,
huh?
yeah,
It is still
yes,
in big
and
cities. Hmm.
yes, and interior design is still looked upon as a degree or a diploma that any girl can take as a certificate for marriage. So
So that an educated
that
girl,
was the
looking
mindset.
educated girl.
Yes, yeah, that was the mindset with which the parents would admit their daughters in the institute. So I could I there my role was to change that notion. And uh, even the students, the girl students, female students who joined the college would look up to a female principal as an inspiration. And
Absolutely.
yes, that was a good feeling. that,
Very good. So
still,
you not
yes,
only started breaking the glass ceiling of becoming an architect of the town, but also going nearby. And
yes,
then you had a kind of a life which is having a city where family is, and then having many cities where practice is going, and then having
yes,
altogether a different city where you have to go for education. What do you,
yes,
what are the challenges a woman really is facing in finding this balance between work life? And of course there is
yes,
also more than work life, there is you also. How do you really do
yeah.
it? Because
Uh,
I have a very
uh,
different privilege in this matter, huh?
Yes, yes, yes. It
I,
was quite challenging with two children.
yeah,
You
I
had to
say
give
three
your
because
time.
husband is
Yes, yes.
husband is
Yeah,
also
husband
like
also. Yes,
that.
yes. Indian husbands, especially.
So it's a
So,
raising family, and then you were in a joint
yeah.
family for a long part of your
Yes, but
career.
that
Okay.
was a privilege that I did not have to bother about cooking and household chores. So that was an advantage, I should say, being in a joint family. I could leave all the work
Yes,
behind, and I could concentrate on my work. So even looking after the children was, it was a big help from the family that they were
absolutely.
taken care of. So. I could morning hours I would go to the college. Evening I would come back and I would be in my office. So it was, yes, long working hours, a lot of management also on our part, and then but the thing that I missed on is my social life.
So
I
it
and
was basically
architecture
like that.
is more about networking and being social. The more you are into networking, the more get the projects, and you people know you, and then they trust you, and that is how they start giving projects to you.
Absolutely. But I guess you learned it by doing, because now you are in quite a leadership role in the state level there. At least you are making your presence felt. You are speaking at so many platforms, not only for the profession, but also for very different subjects, like you are dealing with sustainable buildings. You are talking about women, of course, in architecture. You are talking about urban design here and there. And you also make a point in our associations, like you held some positions out there. So it must have been,
Yes,
of course, a roller coaster, but
yes.
I
I
find
still
it,
I'm,
yeah, I'm still
yeah.
seeing that you
Continue,
are
please.
still rising, and in a very nice manner in that roller coaster.
I'm still learning. That is what I
I
should
think
say.
we all
And
are learning.
yes, and I try to take every opportunity that comes my way. So that is how, the things are going on.
Very good. Because my next question itself is on how do you see being a woman is actually an opportunity? Because often when we do these gender studies, especially on women studies, because gender study is both male study and woman study, and other
Yes,
gender studies as well. So everything comes under gender studies. But let's say being a woman is also an opportunity. It's a privilege. And
yes,
if we have to see it in the profession, and particularly from my own experience, and you may have also experienced that being a woman professor is a very much accepted fact in the society, and then if
yes,
the professor is architect, so then the profession becomes, secondary to the professor, so
yes.
what do you think, what are the other privileges of being a woman professional?
uh, Discipline. First thing that comes, be it for yourself or be it for the client, that there is a discipline and a sincerity in that
Absolutely.
professional work that we deliver and what they expect. So, and then there is a lot of regards, because now when they look at when they talk to me, when the clients talk to me, or when they interact with me, there's so much of respect that they give, uh, and then they listen when they leave all the decisions to you. That's very encouraging. And
So they are now trust that you can deliver
yes, that
something.
is now, yes, now
That's
they
something
trust. Yes,
which you were
that's
saying
something
that
today I
20
can
years
deliver.
ago.
Yes, yes.
That
True.
I will do
So
something.
yes,
Yeah. So you are having a range of projects right now. I guess Pan State, as we keep meeting time and again. But I still remember when I met you after several years of our parting ways from Ahmedabad, and I met you in the joint family setup, and then recently I met you in a unitary family setup, where you had to do everything in this mode. And then when I had met you, there was this full carnivalesque approach in the house, and I was coming to your house. You remember, it was almost like a festival
Yes.
in your house.
Yeah,
Time
true.
when we met, we could have some me time between each other. So I will say that, being not only friends, but being a woman in this profession, there are a lot of things which we can share and overcome as challenges. And especially with you, we for years we have been talking about various kind of challenges, not only in profession, but also in the personal lives and all. But particularly in profession, there are some field related challenges, there are some administrative related challenges, there are some, I don't want to use the word competition, but of course there's a market, you know
Yes.
where all kinds of practitioners are there. How do
Yeah.
you think, especially being in the state of Chhattisgarh, where we both tried and we are still trying to reach out to the institute IIT to set up the department there, where we offered that we can help you to set up the department. What do you think we still need to learn as women to overcome these social, cultural, and even professional administrative challenges to make a point again, not only as profession, but that we can, deliver much more responsibilities than it is conferred to us? What do you think? What are
Yes.
the challenges there? Where is the challenge?
Challenge challenge is still in the trust, in building that trust. That is what I feel. The day people start trusting you, I don't think then there is any looking back. And
So only time can overcome that,
yes, time
and
can overcome. Yes,
delivering to them.
delivering is most important, because even today when I practice, I ensure that my drawings are up to date. We deliver on time. We don't leave any loopholes for guesses by the contractor or by the civil engineer. And our work speaks.
Absolutely.
So yes, so that is how we make a difference from other architects. That is, in quality, or in the way, in the manner we practice our profession. So that is what I think will take us ahead.
Absolutely, I have no doubts about it. But I think there are still some social cultural issues back in our state, because we both belong to that state, and the state is still losing lot of brain drain, I will say, in terms of the profession, and it has very small number of architects practicing still.
Yeah.
It's not again about men, women, but the number itself is very small, and that's where they are. People are, either by choice they are getting Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad architects, and not valuing their own individual architects. But of course, those like you and many of them who are already there, they are trying to prove themselves with over time. That's so overcoming challenges. There's a timeline for it. No
Yes.
shortcut. No shortcut.
No shortcut, I suppose, but
Of
yes,
course.
more networking and more speaking out,
Yes.
creating awareness among people, educating people will, bring this change in their mindset. So the
Professional
more we
bodies,
start
are they
speaking, yes,
helpful?
professional,
No, professional
not so
bodies,
much,
do they help in this matter, that they are, women are put in the forefront, and do
not
you
much,
think they
not
can be
much,
useful?
because
They can be
not much
useful.
because there is politics everywhere. And as we know that male counterparts, they crave for power and powerful positions. So
Absolutely.
even if a woman is included, it is only for a namesake. That is what I feel.
Yeah.
And
But
but
do you
yes,
think it matters
there are
if you
so
are in
many,
there?
there are so many female architects who have made their own, they have carved a niche for themselves. So we will have to, we'll have to keep
Agree,
on,
agree.
finding our ways to the
Absolutely.
into the system, and we can, until and unless we are in the system, we cannot
Absolutely.
think of a change
Yeah.
that will come.
And power does play in this game, I will say, no, in the positive sense also, when it comes to, as you said, networking, when it comes to getting big projects, or pitching for larger projects. So networking is an important aspect, and especially if women are ready to be on call all the time, which earlier men used to be said that they are available all the time.
Yes.
I think in your 20 years now, since your children, both the boys are now very young, now men, basic almost,
Yes.
good looking men. Do you think that now you actually portray that you are more available on call for taking, rough days in your site work, or, you are very busy in those days. So client can really think that, okay, she's available all the time, as any male counterpart who used to vouch upon that they are available all the time in the
No,
past.
I was always available, Mansi. I
Earlier.
never gave that chance to anybody to, think that, that I'm more dedicated towards my family than my profession. I
Okay.
never gave that
Okay, so
idea.
that's also
Yes.
learning for me, because
Yes.
I'm always putting, although my image is very different, but I have always put in a different setup, when I respond to people. So it's good to know that it's an important aspect, that you have to build that notion to them that I am available. It's not that being woman, I am busy today, or so and
Yeah,
so forth.
you cannot afford to in practice, because you might
It's
lose
also the
upon a
practice.
lot of, yes, if you don't give deliver things beforehand, then the work at the site will stop. So
Yes.
practically that is financially not viable. We have to be
Yeah,
available.
absolutely. So,
And see, if we are systematic, if we are organized, these calls are very few.
yes,
That is what I
absolutely.
have realized
Yeah,
over time.
yes, I
If I'm
agree.
not organized, if my drawings are not complete, if the details are not complete, then I will feel hassled, as well as there will be a lot of calls.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
you usually it happens with me that, because I do the drawings at to such specifications and details, that I always have to say that refer to these drawings, refer to so
Hmm.
and so drawing.
So
That
we
is
are
what I
also
have to
have that.
do.
We
Yes.
also have that in the office, and it makes things much easier.
Easier,
When
yes.
things are up front ready, and then they have to refer to those drawings. Unless and until they have
Yes.
questions, they are calling at odd hours. So
Yeah,
we are
yeah.
coming towards the end of this conversation with two tricky questions. One is very interesting, and one is a little bit tricky. And I think it's the only part where you can be a little bit more assertive and even critique about what's going on around. And it's very close to our subject area, of that's cities and urban design and planning. So I want you to imagine a situation that if women were the leading architects, just flip the situation, and let's say more women architects were leading and they were dominant and blah blah blah. Do you think cities would have looked different? And this is becomes very important in your case, especially you being a practitioner who is advocating all her life about sustainable building practices. Do you think cities would be different? So just turn out the
Absolutely.
situation in Chhattisgarh. More women
Absolutely
architects, few
so.
male architects struggling here, and I don't want any male to struggle. But just imagine reverse. How will cities look?
I would certainly say that cities would have been different if there were more female architects, because uh, the whole approach towards design of a male and female is different. We always look for safety. We look for ease of movement. We look for we see that there are no dark pockets. I think there's a very different sense of design which differentiates a woman's design from a man's design. What I feel is women work in details.
So God lies in
Yeah, the
details,
more
actually.
God lies in details, and that is the that is the broad difference between how a man designs and how a woman designs.
But if we look
And
at
it is
cities,
with so much of cities also. Yes, the same thing.
how will
It
this
reflects on
change?
a different scale.
So how
It
will
will
you
be more.
think cities will look different?
Cities will be greener, I suppose, more green, more
Cleaner
colorful,
also, I
and
suppose,
cleaner. Yes, clean, very
because
clean,
our preference will be
and
there.
yes, and they will be safe.
So
I
clean,
mean,
green, and safe. If so, do you think that we are actually both of us probably, and we may be biased, being good friends also, and in conversation every now and then. Do you think it's an outlook which we both share about this this feministic approach to city, and we are already prejudiced, both of us, by our experience of 25 years, that cities are too masculine, and having an education in urban design
yes,
where we studied a neutral gender education we got in urban
yeah.
design, from there to practicing for 25 years in a very masculine setup and still carving out a niche for yourself. Do you think cities are still that masculine, and there is a room for making it a little bit more feministic in terms of softening with clean, green, and safe? Possible?
Yes, it is possible. It
So,
is possible indeed,
so there
yes.
are still more works to do for the future generation. And that brings me to the last question, which is a very soft question, and it's not only for girls, because for a society to change, men have to also change. So boys also have to be given some message. So we want to close the conversation with your message for younger generation, and it is gender neutral. So it's not boys, girls, or other genders, but gender neutral. Younger generation, how can they make cities more, soft, let's say, and accommodate
Okay.
more women? Accommodate more women, because we are studying. I'm studying women in this case, and not other
Yeah.
genders. I can do other genders.
I would like to give a message that the younger generation should become more sincere. If they are sincere in their work, then a lot of change automatically happens. One thing is that. Another is in making a clear difference in the city is get the old Indian way back of valuing women. We
Absolutely.
have been in our culture, it was so much of respect for women. Always it was there, but somehow, now that this gender equality and all these conversations which are coming up, somehow, somehow has broken that glass between that, the factor of regard versus friendship. It is even our children, when they speak to us as elders, they are more friends. It is good to
Yes.
be friends, but then it should not be like, there has to be that regard for each other, value for each other. So the moment we start doing this, that automatically will reflect in our work as well, those value systems. So
Absolutely.
value not only for women, not but for each other, I should say, and for our environment as well, our Mother Earth. That gratefulness should be there, and that gratitude will automatically reflect in design.
Yeah.
For
Absolutely.
what the environment has given us. If we start valuing that, if we start giving it its due place in the design, as well as our, not only the flora but the fauna, we should know that we are not the only human race who is to dominate the earth, but we have to coexist with the other living organisms as well. So every organism has to have that due place, be it in the city, or be it in your small design project, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everywhere there should be this space for everyone, to every living being to coexist, will
Absolutely.
automatically create a different vocabulary for our cities.
So I think for me, the biggest takeaway is it's not only about men and women, it's about establishing a datum for architects in many cities in the country. And then it's I think it's more about being more human, you know. Although the study is focusing on women, because our profession is still far from talking about other genders, you know. So I'm just taking one step with studying women, but I think I'm sure this profession is also suffering with other gender in the profession, which is still not talked about. Nevertheless, I have to focus on my study on women. So I think we come to an end for our conversation today. And I really want to thank you so much for taking out time, because it has been extremely difficult to find time from women architects. An important learning for me is that women architects are super busy, guys. So they because they have to balance too many things, you know. Yeah, not only family
Yes.
life, then teaching, then research, because I know you are also very keen to start your PhD very soon. So you are developing your data, and I'm waiting to
Yes.
hear that and listen to that. So with those
Very
nice
soon you
words,
will.
yeah, with those nice words, I really want to thank again to Neena and Soumya for being there to help me out in this session. And I look forward to meeting more people and also sharing with you, Neena, what goes on beyond this study. And of course, see
Thank,
you very soon. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, Mansi,
So I will
for giving me
disconnect.
this platform. Yeah, for
Sorry, please.
giving me this platform to, share my experiences of life and profession both. And
How do
it's
you
been a
feel?
learning experience, I will say again. I mean, and it has always been with you that I, enjoy as well as I learn
Yeah.
whenever